General Kexton stood on the bridge of his flagship, his forearms crossed in what his species considered the ultimate gesture of contempt. Through the massive viewport, Earth hung like a blue marble against the void, small, insignificant, and utterly defenseless. Or so he believed. These humans, he rasped to his aide, his mandibles clicking with amusement. They fascinate me with their arrogance. No faster-than-light travel, no energy shields, no plasma weapons, yet they dare to reject our terms of surrender. The aide, a nervous Zephyrian with pale green skin, shuffled his feet. General, perhaps we should reconsider. The intelligence reports suggest what? Kexton's voice boomed across the bridge, silencing the crew. That these primitive apes pose a threat to the hegemony's finest fleet. 500 warships, each capable of glassing a continent. They have what, chemical rockets and metal bullets? The communication array crackled to life. A human face appeared on the screen, weathered, gray-haired, with eyes that held an unsettling calm. Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. General Kexton, she said, her voice steady. This is your final warning. Withdraw your fleet from our system or face the consequences. Kexton's laughter echoed through the bridge. Consequences from you? Your pathetic species hasn't even colonized your own moon permanently. We have conquered 17 star systems, crushed civilizations that had mastered antimatter when your ancestors were still throwing stones. Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. We've studied your tactics, General. Every world you've conquered fell the same way. Orbital bombardment followed by ground invasion. Overwhelming force applied without subtlety. Because it works, Kexton snarled. Tomorrow we begin the bombardment. Your cities will burn, your people will kneel, and this conversation will be remembered as the moment humanity's foolish pride sealed its fate. The transmission ended. Kexton turned to his fleet commander. Begin positioning for the assault. I want every ship in bombardment formation by dawn on their principal continent. As the massive fleet repositioned itself, Kexton retired to his quarters, already composing his victory report to the Hegemony Council. The conquest of Earth would cement his legacy as the greatest military mind of his generation. He woke 12 hours later to alarms screaming through the ship. Report, he roared, stumbling onto the bridge, still fastening his armor. The aide's face was pale with terror. Sir, the fleet. They're gone. What do you mean, gone? Ships have been disappearing all night. No distress signals, no weapons fire detected, no debris. They just vanished from sensors one by one. Kexton stared at the tactical display. Where 500 ships had been positioned, only his flagship and 47 others remained. As he watched, another blip disappeared from the screen. 46 ships, the aide whispered. Impossible. Deploy all sensor drones, scan for cloaked vessels. The humans must have some technology we missed. For 6 hours they searched. The sensor drones found nothing. No enemy ships, no weapon signatures, no trace of the missing vessels. Just empty space where the pride of the Hegemony fleet had been. By evening, only 5 ships remained. The communication array activated without prompt. Admiral Chen's face appeared again, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood representatives from dozens of other human nations, their expressions grim and unified. General Kexton, Chen began, you assumed we were primitive because we hadn't developed your technology. You were wrong about what we had developed instead. What sorcery is this? Kexton demanded, his voice cracking. Where are my ships? Chen gestured to someone off-screen. A younger officer stepped forward, holding a tablet displaying what looked like harmless radio signals. 300 years ago, Chen explained, we learned that the human brain operates on electrical impulses. We became very good at understanding and manipulating electromagnetic fields, very good at creating precise frequencies that can affect neural activity. The officer touched his tablet. A low-frequency hum filled the bridge of Kexton's ship. The general felt his thoughts growing sluggish, his vision blurring. Your ships aren't destroyed, General, Chen continued as Kexton fought to remain conscious. Your crews are simply sleeping. We've been broadcasting targeted neural suppression fields for the past 18 hours, each frequency precisely calibrated for the brain patterns of different alien species. Kexton's aide collapsed first, then the navigation officer, then the weapons specialist. One by one, his crew fell into deep, dreamless sleep. You see, Chen said, her voice echoing in the increasingly empty bridge. While you were perfecting weapons that destroy, We were perfecting weapons that preserve. We can pacify an entire species without spilling a drop of blood, disable an army without firing a shot. Kexthan fell to his knees, his consciousness fading. But how did you know? Our neural patterns? Admiral Chen smiled, and for the first time there was something frightening in that expression. General, did you really think you were the first alien species to visit Earth? We've had 300 years to study, to learn, to prepare. Every scout ship, every probe, every secret survey mission, we knew you were coming. The last thing Kexthan saw before sleep claimed him was the tactical display showing his flagship surrounded by a dozen small, Earth vessels, ships that had been completely invisible to his sensors until this moment. When he woke, he was in a holding cell aboard an Earth station. Through the transparent walls, he could see hundreds of other cells containing his officers and crew members. Beyond them, vast hangars held the derelict hulks of his fleet, being carefully studied by human scientists. Admiral Chen appeared at his cell, flanked by guards. "Your crew will be returned to hegemony space with a message," she said calmly. "Any future aggression against Earth or its colonies will result in the same fate. We've mapped the neural patterns of 47 different spacefaring species now. We can put any of them to sleep at will." Kexthan looked up at her with new understanding and new fear. "You could have destroyed us outright. Why didn't you?" Chen's expression softened slightly. "Because, General, that's the difference between your species and ours. We don't conquer, we defend. We don't destroy, we preserve. And we don't rule through fear." She turned to leave, then paused. "Though we're perfectly willing to inspire it when necessary." As her footsteps faded down the corridor, Kexthan realized the terrible truth. Humanity hadn't won through superior firepower or advanced shields. They had won through something far more dangerous: superior understanding of their enemies, infinite patience, and the wisdom to know that the greatest victories were won without firing a shot. The hegemony's expansion ended that day, not with the thunder of weapons, but with the whisper of precisely tuned electromagnetic fields and the quiet breathing of sleeping conquerors.